This problem of wireless interference is getting worse and worse each year because we love our personal wireless devices.
The best speakers of engineering and science own their content. They do not read their words from notes or slides, nor do they memorize their words. Rather, through practice, the best speakers in engineering and science learn the sequences of ideas in their talks and then fashion the wording of those ideas on the spot.
So, a little background. We learned about in physics about the electromagnetic spectrum. It's got your X-rays, light rays, infrared, etc. And the radio spectrum or the wireless spectrum is part of that, and it's longer wavelength than infrared. And it's arbitrarily defined by the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, to go from 3 kilohertz to 300 gigahertz. And it's chopped up into a bunch of small bands, as you can see in this chart behind me. And each band has a certain purpose. So you have your cell bands, you have radio astronomy, you have TV bands, and then we have our beloved 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi bands. Now, when I talk about bandwidth in this presentation, it's pretty simple. All it is the width of one of these rectangles. So if the rectangle went from 30 to 35 megahertz, its bandwidth is 5 megahertz. And so I talked about at the beginning that I couldn't connect to Penn State's internet. And I said that we're selling billions and billions of new devices. So one possible reason, one root cause of why I couldn't connect and why we have this interference is because maybe we've just sold too many devices. Maybe we've saturated this chart because the wireless spectrum is a finite resource and we can only have so many devices using it at one time. But I'm here to tell you, but that's not the problem. The problem is that we're not using it efficiently. Most of those billions of devices are going into just those 2 little red blocks there, using Wi-Fi. While the rest of that gray area, a lot of it's not being used or it's not being used efficiently. And it's really this inefficiency that's driving this wireless interference problem.
The best speakers connect with their audiences through eye contact, facial expressions, and purposeful movements. To achieve emphasis, the best speakers not only vary the loudness and speeds of their voices, but they also use the silence of well-placed pauses.
Some of you might recognize this building, but for those of you who don't, this is what the Hub is projected to look like at the end of this school year. So the Hub construction project has been going on since the summer of 2013. The new building is said to include new seating space, a Thon merchandise store, a renovated food court and bookstore, a green roof, as well as just a more convenient relocation of the venues that are inside. So awesome, right? We're all for this project, except for one problem. It's already been in the works for over a year. So we constantly have to change our paths due to blocked off walkways, and we're visibly and audibly bombarded every time we pass the Hub. And this year's sophomores didn't get a chance to experience the Hub lawn like they should have. This is just one example of how construction takes way too long of a time, not to mention the fact that it's one of the most dangerous jobs there is for workers. My name is Amel Al-Karim. I'm in engineering science and math here at Penn State, and I think I found a solution. Contour crafting is an idea thought up by engineers from the University of Southern California. It applies additive manufacturing, or 3D printing, technologies to expedite and enhance the construction process. Where construction would take about 3 months to build a family-sized home, Contour crafting could build the same home in under a day.
Now let's look at the problems that urban heat islands cause.
The best speakers of engineering and science explain their visual evidence. In addition, the best speakers using the assertion evidence approach set up the next slide before they show that slide. In other words, they make a transition to the next slide before that slide appears.
Now, urban heat islands not only affect the economy, but they also affect human health as well. Heat island areas do not get the opportunity to cool down overnight like do their rural counterparts, so that heat index remains much higher, and that makes people more susceptible to heat-related health issues, such as heat strokes, heat exhaustion, respiratory difficulties, or even heat-related deaths. And this problem has been growing in the past decade or so, and that's what's being shown here on this graph. So what we're seeing, the blue bars represent the number of weather fatalities specifically from the year 2011, while the red bars are showing an average of these deaths over the span of the past 10 years, starting in the year 2002. And if we take a look at the center, at the heat-related bars, what we can see is that the number of deaths from the year 2011 are significantly higher than the past 10-year average. So this means that heat-related deaths are certainly on the rise.